Hello everybody, I'm Michael Gunter, your totally wicked rocket scientist. Today I wanted to give you a quick tour of the shop area and some of the materials that we have. We're going to start building our Miss Wicked rocket. It has been claimed to be the revenge of the Mega Titan, but Jason and I have talked about that, and Miss Wicked just sounds like a much better idea. She'll be longer, sleek, have a beautiful form, and also a heck of a lot faster and stronger than the totally wicked Tornado was. Go ahead and get started with the tour here, and then I'll show you some of the diagrams that I have of the rocket itself for a completed project. The black case you see here holds all the motor hardware for the different rockets that I use. Directly beside that, you'll see one of the nose cones for the larger rockets. That is a shorter nose cone, and right now just happens to be standing there in storage. These are two of the rockets that I have built in the past, decorated a little bit with the Mr. Wicked and Totally Wicked logos. These went to South Carolina in September for the Freedom launch. Both had a very good showing. You notice red and yellow here has a tubular type fin design. Incredibly stable rocket and gave me some very beautiful flights. My intention is to try to have room to bring all of this to Florida with me when I go down to Tampa for the launch of the Miss Wicked. Standing on the floor here, you see the nose cone that will be part of the Miss Wicked rocket. There's a black mark on the tube behind that is 48 inches from the ground. That's how tall this nose cone is, minus, sorry, one of my helpers here is playing games with me. This is Monty. He's my main number one helper. But anyhow, this nose cone is one that is going in our Miss Wicked rocket. Behind that is the two sections of airframe. One is 5 feet tall, the other is 4 feet tall. The 5 foot tall section will be the lower section. This will allow a lot of room for me to have the motor in it, also give plenty of shock cord for the deployment at apogee. Lower section will have the coupling in it that houses the electronics. The electronics bay for this one is going to be about 12 inches long. Inside the electronics bay, we're going to have two altimeters. I always use two, that way I have a backup if something goes wrong. I don't bury another rocket in the ground. I did that once and it is not fun. This is the fin assembly and motor section for the rocket itself. This is a 32-inch piece, 3-inch diameter tube in the center of it, and that is the motor shaft. On the top of this, I have not finished all the glue joints yet. We are under construction here. But at the top of it, you'll see a metal ring. This ring is what attaches one of the lines to for our recovery. Shock cord attaches here. It will attach to a plate in the bottom of the electronics section so that during the apogee deployment, which is the top of the flight, at separation, it holds the two pieces together and brings it all down as one unit. The fins are made out of 3/16 inch thick G10 fiberglass, and I use a strong epoxy system for gluing these onto the framework. Along this edge here, top to bottom and in between these fins, I'll have a 1-inch thick, 2-inch wide piece of wood glued in place, and that's what I'll use to attach the launch lugs so that when we put it on the rail, it'll give us a good smooth launch. See if I can move some of this stuff here right quick. In behind the motor tubes is my old dependable Craftsman lathe. Rascal's been around for a long time and has created a lot of good wood turnings for me. I use this to create the centering rings and the mounting that is used for the rocket. These rings here have to be an exact diameter to fit inside the airframe tube, and they also have to have a good center cut that is absolutely centered up. If something's not quite right in this, it'll cause the rocket to be unstable at launch. This is one of the spare centering rings that I have. These will be used inside the electronics bay and also in the upper section to give a good solid mount so that we can attach parachute, shock cord, and also give protection for our electronics. For those that are actually interested in the wood turning side of this, started with the sheet of plywood, cut the plywood down to 8-inch squares, drilled a hole in the center of these, put them on the lathe, and when I get finished, this is what they come out to. It's a 7.5 diameter, fits inside the motor, or inside the airframe unit. Our nose cone here is a 5-to-1 ratio, or 5.5 to 1 ratio rather, diameter versus overall height. Height is measured beyond the shoulder. The shoulder is here. That is what supports against the airframe itself. And then we come up to a nice point at the top. When this is painted, it will be jet black or red. I'm not quite sure which yet. I've got to give it a couple of people and have the decisions made between us on that. It's going to be a joint project. I've got Connie Tyler, my graphics person, also with Jason and the people at Totally Wicked. We're going to decide the best colors for this versus the graphics that we have. All of my graphics are kept here. And at the moment, I'm not going to pull those out. When I get a wall cleared to where I can actually tape them up and let them hang for a little while, get the wrinkles out of it, that's the way we'll go with that. But that is the tour of my shop and all the mess that I have. You can see at a glance there are a lot of parts and a lot of tubes and a lot of rockets left to be made. Have some more laying over here. Inside our big black case for the motors. This is motor hardware, not the propellant reloads. Let's see if I can get this to come out right for us. This piece right here is the motor for Miss Wicked. Holds approximately 9 pounds of propellant. We use the ammonium perchlorate solid composite propellant. It's the exact same material used in the solid rocket boosters of the space shuttle. As you can see, there are several other motor units in here. This is my altimeter set. It's called the Adept 22 altimeter. It's a dual deployment type. This particular one I've got set for apogee will set off the main charge that separates the upper and lower section of the rocket. Apogee being the point in the sky where the rocket lays down flat and starts its descent. The second charge is set for 600 feet above ground. As you can see, there are two. I always use a backup on these because I do not want rocket to go splat. Makes a heck of a mess when it does, and it really hurts your feelings when you lose one. We have the different sizes of the backing plates and dampeners for the motors. Close this. You can hear my children out here getting a little excited. Dogs have a good time saying hello to everybody else in the neighborhood. Here is the motor case. This is the package that has the motor itself. This one is a K1750 red propellant. Throws out a red flame on takeoff. We also have a little black powder in here for making deployment charges. Several other small motors in here for the purpose of launching some of the smaller rockets. See if I can actually find one of those for you. Hiding behind the installation. 2-inch diameter, 6-foot long silver rocket hanging here. Called it the Silver Streak for a long time. I've just been waiting for someone to come up and give me some different ideas on it. Paint some graphics in there and then we'll be in good shape on it. The white one here has GDOT on it, GDOT. At one time it was Georgia Department of Transportation, then it was Greensboro Department of Transportation, I actually work for the Greensboro Transportation Unit. A friend of mine had the decal here, the Lone Wolf. I don't know how well we can get that in. Slip that on there simply because he's howling at the moon and that's where the rocket was pointed. Oh, get turned around here. Aim at the computer screen. I'm not real sure how well this is going to work. Here is our design specifications for the rocket. We have our body tube length, diameters and sizes for launch lugs, nose cone length, which I've got to make an adjustment on this, the fin sizes and types, and here I'll try to enlarge this and see if I can do it without blowing it completely out of proportion. This is the space diagram of our rocket. We're showing center of pressure back here toward the fin section. Center of balance at about 91 inches off of the nose cone. These two measurements are absolutely critical. If they get too close together, it makes the rocket unstable and it can turn around, come back down to the ground, explode, cause a few aggravations toward visitors. Just one of the small things we have to pay a lot of attention to. Using this program, I can do flight simulation, and it will give me a lot of very good information, which also tells me expected height on this particular rocket. It has not been properly weighed in yet, but right now it just estimates I'm looking at 4,000 feet in altitude, flight time of about 20 seconds total. That's a complete arch to deployment of the main parachute is about 20 seconds. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one, and I really look forward to seeing all the people at Totally Wicked again. Last time I made the trip to Tampa, went over to Bradenton. All of the people at Totally Wicked were extremely good to me. Had a lot of fun. Put the tornado up in the sky. Right now our Totally Wicked tornado is on display at the Bradenton Vapors Lounge. When we get done with this one, I'm not positive what Jason's going to want to do. He may take the Miss Wicked back to the UK with him, or he may leave her here so we can put her on display next to the tornado. That is about all I have that I can say right now. I got to get back to putting the airframe together. As the rocket goes together, I will be making more videos and posting pictures into the forum. My friend Rob helps me get the pictures in there because I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But we will get the pictures on the forum. There will be more on YouTube. And there will be a world of information posted into the Facebook pages for Totally Wicked USA, Totally Wicked Vapors Lounge, Totally Wicked UK, and on my personal load. I thank you for paying attention to me and hope to see you in the future.